And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben, and this is my review for Netflix's original movie, The King. How wayward prince and heir to the English throne is crowned Henry King V after his tyrannical father dies. Now the young king must navigate palace politics, the war his father left behind, and the emotional strings of his past. The King is directed by David Michôd. This is not the first time that some of the characters or actors have worked together. Let me just check. Robert Pattinson, he worked together with this director, David Michôd, on The Rover, which is also an excellent film. He does a lot of documentary type films or documentaries and TV episode, and one of the first things that stood out for me in this film was the realistic nature and the approach the director took into filming this. It all feels very real, feels very less Hollywood, if that makes sense. It's all the action sequences are not like ridiculously beautiful and choreographed. Obviously, they are choreographed, but every hit feels hard hitting. The language even feels authentic, and that was one of the things that kept me riveted about this story. Obviously, Timothée Chalamet is a fantastic actor, and again, he shows his acting premise in this. He his ability to really get to grips with a character where he acts as this kind of prince that doesn't want the crown, and you see his life before that and how messed up he is because of his tyrannical father. And then when it's kind of thrust upon him, without giving any spoilers, but if you know anything about kind of the history and if you've seen the trailer, you'll know a little bit about what happens in this film. And then you see the other actors that act around these characters. For example, Robert Pattinson, Lily-Rose Depp, Joel Edgerton, Thomasin McKenzie, Ben Mendelsohn, Sean Harris. The list is amazing for the caliber of actors that you have in here, and I think that really shows. Not only have they brought their A game, but that it also feels like they've been directed with what they needed to bring for their characters in the role to make this a really believable kind of showcasing of what happened, or what it's their version of the storytelling of what happened in England and the politics within. And I really like how it shows the the ins and outs of the politics that has always been happening, it seems, but on both sides, and who you can trust. It's a very kind of Julius Caesar, Brutus. Who can you trust? And you're always kind of rooting for Henry, which is something that I wasn't expecting, because I had no idea about the history. I thought I did, and then as you get into the kind of nitty gritties of the dialogue shown within, you get to understand a little bit of what it must have been like. And I really like the authenticity of this film. It feels authentic. So even the costume design and the locations, it all looks great. And the look wise, wow, some of the best cinematography I've seen. It does feel like this belongs in the cinema. It's that good quality. And I know it has had a few cinema showings. It's very few and far between. So if you can find it, I would suggest watching it at the cinema. But I like the epic nature of this. It is fairly long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, and there isn't a lot of action. If you're expecting that, it's not that type of film. It's Braveheart in nature in parts. It's Gladiator in parts. There are those speeches before battle, in this life or the next, rousing speeches. But where the film spends most of its time is in the character development between Joel Edgerton and Hal, this prince, and you see their kind of friendship. And when they're on screen together, it's fantastic to see. And then you see the developing kind of his character as he becomes king, and how he has to navigate this world. And I think it's done so well. I loved, for me, the best part of the film was when Joel Edgerton and Timothée Chalamet are portraying their characters, because it was just it sometimes you watch stuff on films and you're just like, oh, I really want more from them, because what they're delivering on screen is really riveting to watch. That's not to say the other actors didn't bring their A game. As I said, each has been directed beautifully, and it looks stunning just to look at. It's just you know when you're watching a film that's been crafted well. I do think it's a tad long, and there's a lot of dialogue to dissect, and sometimes some of the accents can be a bit hard to dissect if they're speaking quickly, because there's a lot to process. That is my only negativity, if I had to have one. It's just that I kind of had to think about what they were saying. It's especially some of the language. It's a bit old timey, if that makes sense. And then you have to kind of catch up with what's going on because there's a lot going on in between. But that's not to say that you're ever lost or you don't understand what's going on. I think it's a story that's brilliantly told. It's looks, it's visually stunning, and it's choreographed in those battle sequences are really hard hitting and believable. So it's a battle, like sometimes you can get this Hollywood-esque nature of films where they show it and it looks amazing and it's all, beautifully shot, but this, although beautifully shot, has a real realism to it, which I really appreciated. And I think that comes down to the director and he's kind of his past takes on documentaries. He's brought that flair or that take on how you do filmmaking. Even some of the lighting shots are stunning to look at between, just those guard rays that come through windows and then the musky dankness of England. And I really liked what they did with this. I'm actually going to go watch it again. Even though it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, I felt the time pass. Mostly, I didn't clock watch. There was only one time I thought, wow, how much is there left to watch in this? Which I think is a good indication as to the quality of this film. Like I said, it's quite dialogue heavy. When you get those battles, it's riveting to watch, but realistic. And I think Timothée Chalamet and Joel Edgerton did a fantastic job. Yeah, highly recommend this. Going to give this an A. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about this film, or if you're excited to see it. I know it comes out on Friday. Netflix, thank you for giving us a screener to view this. And yeah, chat to me in the comments below. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.